Hello, I'm Alex, a professional artist, and today I'm sharing a casual sketching video where I'm trying out my brand new 24 set of Derwent Graphitint pencils. Before we get started, I should say that this video is not sponsored by anyone. I'm just a person who bought these pencils with my own money, and I'm sharing this video because I'm excited about them. And with that said, let's get started. I bought these pencils less than a month ago, and I can say that so far I'm really happy with them. They're so versatile, which is great for me as a mixed media artist. They are graphite based, so you can actually erase them, which is awesome for me because I love to sketch character designs in color, for example. But you can also mix these pencils with water, just like watercolor pencils, and as you can see, the water really gives the pigments a boost, making them super vibrant. In my next video, I'm actually going to share the unboxing and full review of these pencils, so be sure to check that out if you're interested in getting these pencils yourself and if you're wondering whether or not they are for you. I'll link the video here as soon as it's out. Another thing I love about these pencils is that even when you mix them with water, some of that texture created by the pencils themselves will stay on the paper. And that creates this beautiful effect that you won't really be achieving using only watercolors or only colored pencils, but rather if you combine the two by layering them on top of each other. With the Graphitint pencils, you get that gorgeous texture for free with just one layer and then adding water. The effect might differ though depending on what kind of paper you use. I'm using some just slightly textured watercolor paper here, not the most textured and not the least textured kind, but the effect either way is really noticeable. A potential drawback that I should mention though, and this is especially relevant for mixed media artists who might want to layer other art supplies on top, is that once the water dries, the surface that you're left with is a little slippery. It feels a bit fatty or oily, just like the surface left by regular graphite pencils. In other words, the surface doesn't have that rough, toothy quality like you would get from using regular watercolors. This in itself isn't a problem, but if you want to layer other pencils on top, like regular colored pencils or graphite or even ink, you might find that this will be a lot more difficult on the dry surface left by the Graphitint pencils. In my case, I did use colored pencils on top of the dry surface, and most of them worked fine, but there were also a bunch of colors that didn't really stick, and some that barely showed at all. So I had to work around that a little bit by working with darker colors. But as a comparison, when I use regular watercolors, I very often use the exact same colored pencils that I'm using here right on top, and they layer beautifully. Even the lightest colors like white, yellow, and spring green easily leave pigments in full opacity right on top of the watercolors. And this just isn't the case with the Graphitint pencils at all. Darker colors layer well enough. I did have to fight the medium just a little bit, but the lighter colors barely left a mark on the darker parts. So the conclusion here is that if you want to build many layers with different mediums on top of the base layer, then I wouldn't recommend the Graphitint pencils for this purpose. But if you're sketching or perhaps going for just a few layers, then you'll have no problem at all. As I said before, the pigments of these pencils are absolutely gorgeous and vibrant, and you don't necessarily need to add a lot of layers on top. It's just something that I like to do in my particular style. Overall, the Graphitint pencils are fantastic quality pencils, and it really just comes down to how you want to use them and what you're going to use them for. For myself, I have plenty of uses for them. For one, as I mentioned earlier, I like to sketch characters in color, and I'm going to use them for that. I will absolutely be bringing them with me when I'm drawing outside. And honestly, I'll most likely keep using them the way I'm using them here. I just have to get used to how they behave and how to work with the pencils rather than against them. The sketchbook spread I'm working on was actually for Inktober this year, or in my case, Rocktober, as I ended up calling my own personal version of the challenge. I always tend to be quite casual about these sorts of challenges. I've done several of them in the past, and in my honest opinion, they can be quite a lot and just too much and too intense and really sap the energy right out of you, especially for those of us who work full-time. So I really don't want to put any additional pressure on myself, especially not for something like this. I just want to enjoy myself, relax, and just have fun creating. So rather than setting out to do one drawing a day, which is the typical approach to a challenge like Inktober, I set out to do 7 rocks per week. And that allowed me a great deal more flexibility so that I could actually complete the challenge. And I chose to draw rocks for a couple of reasons. First off, because it's simple and it's low effort for me, and it's also something that I really enjoy. I'm primarily doing stylized art, and these rocks have been a really fun exploration of expression for me, using shapes and colors and patterns and textures. I posted all of my sketches on Instagram throughout October 2025, so go right ahead and check that out if you're curious. I'll share a link in the description. I generally use Instagram to share more finalized artworks, but also some sketches, works in progress, and so on. The references I used while filling out the sketchbook spread are from Yakushima, which is an island in the south of Japan. The island has these large, old cedar woods that are just absolutely magical. It was one of the most incredible places I have ever been, and I've found myself returning to the photos I took there again and again over the years, drawing more inspiration and just reliving the experience. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Thank you for sticking with me until the end. I hope you found some inspiration to create something for yourself. And be sure to check out the full review of these Graphitint pencils when the video is out. Until next time, take care, stay creative, and I will see you in the next video.